the most important rules to remember whenever you sell a business. Keep in mind, the more complex the business is, the harder it is to sell it. So we're going to go over how to spot a very complex business. The higher volume the business requires, such as like a car dealership or a restaurant with very expensive rent and a lot of employee, are higher volume. And these businesses are not impossible to sell, but much harder to sell. Okay. And the next 10 minutes after we discuss the first few rules, the second 10 minutes will be about loan, like SBA loan, free money from the government up to 90%. Owner financing, are they easy to find? Is it easy to convince your seller to sell their business as a partial owner financing? And what type of interest rate is reasonable? And equipment loans, specialized lender for a specific sector, such as laundromat, washateria. Okay. And the next 20 minutes, we will discuss about Biz Buy Sell platform and LoopNet. How many businesses were actually sold? How will that affect your relationship with your client if you can't sell it? Recession-proof businesses, how to spot them? Why business and not a home? Why do some people prefer to buy a business over a home? Okay. We're gonna spend about 5 minutes explaining to you about low overhead businesses. What are the characteristics? What are the red flags? Is it easy to sell? And we're gonna talk about the Lindsay effect on businesses. A little hint about the Lindsay effect is the longer the business stay in operation, the more likely you are able to sell it. There's something about very mature and established businesses that tells the buyer that, hey, if they survive for the past 20 years, that means there are businesses, there is reasonable amount of cash flow for the seller to continue to operate this business. So that's called the Lindsay effect. We're going to go over that, okay? All right, the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about passive nature of buying a business. Is it really passive? Why is the ROI much greater than purchasing a home or commercial real estate? Mom and pop business, what are the red flags for mom and pop businesses? And a lot of us, Vietnamese, Chinese, Mexican, baby boomers, we tend to operate a small business our very old school way. Some of us actually skip permitting. Some of us don't file taxes. There's a lot of rules that we kind of not follow, and so how do we watch out for those? And if there is any sort of legal issue, how do we overcome that? Okay. And the most of the training hours will be spent on this. This is what I emailed to you. We're going to go over valuation, section A, valuation, how to evaluate a business. Whenever you look at a 150K cash flow, is it net cash flow or is it gross cash flow? What really matters? Okay. So valuation, we're going to spend a lot of time on how to evaluate a business. Okay. Section B, financial statements. How do you prepare an up-to-date financial statement? And how do you prepare pro forma statement? So let me give you one example. This is what take up most of my time, Yui's time and Melissa's time, is the financial statement. These are tedious work. However, if you are trying to sell a business, meaning you're trying to sell a cash flowing business, then yes, you have to spend lots of time gathering all the income sales data and payrolls, rent, reading the leases to see if there's any extra fees. To complete a very up-to-date and accurate financial statement, it requires a lot of time and effort. You can't do it in a week. You can't do it in 2 weeks. Maybe perhaps 3 weeks for a not too complex businesses. So let me give you one example of the financial statement that we prepare for one of the laundromat. This is a 2024 projected income. It's called pro forma. And we're going to go over what is the difference between now and projected income, okay? This is whenever you look at the true and updated financial statements. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to go over the documentation. How do you gather all relevant documents, contract licensings? We're going to kind of skip section C, clean up. How do you help your seller make the business as attractive as possible? How do you resolve employee payroll disputes? How do you resolve tickets from the city, right? How do you resolve a negative cash flow situation? We're going to go ahead and skip section C because that would be for a more expert level training, and I have to bring in an expert in cleaning up a business. However, remember, we are a real estate consultant. We are not here to try to flip businesses, but having a more understanding about how to clean up a business can help you spot a uncleanable business so that you don't try to help the seller take on that listing and then burn the bridge, right? So we will spend some time talking about the gathering permits. We're going to go over what type of permit are required to run a restaurant. What type of permit does a laundromat require? What type of permit does a boba or coffee house require?